Welcome back to It's Showtime, the Craig L. Hayes Show. And like you said, we're back at It's Showtime, the Craig L. Hayes Show. We're here on episode number 4 with Donna Silva. And, we had talked earlier about your Elvis story. You told me, a while ago, and we forgot to talk about that before. Before we
Oh,
move on to your Mirage stuff, can you, tell us again, tell me again,
sure.
or tell everybody
Yeah.
your Elvis story.
Well, this was really special because um, I sat there with my cigarette tray a lot of times watching Elvis earlier on in the time before I became a stagehand. But B.B. King would play in the lounge there sometimes, and then Ike and Tina Turner would play. So they kind of split the time of every month. They'd come in for each one group would, and then other groups. But nevertheless, one night my two girlfriends, I had them. They were staying here with me in my spare room for a while, and we went to see B.B. King. As a matter of fact, I was dating the piano player, but so we're sitting there, and I don't know if you remember, but if you've read about Elvis, his best friend was Red, named Red, and he had all the Take Care of Business
Yep,
insignia,
TCB. Yep.
TCB, and Red's was all diamonds and like really fancy stones, expensive. And some of them were like that, the special people. But anyway, Red came over to us before the show started, and he said, I'm Red, and I'm here with Elvis, and he would like to know if you want to go to a party after the show's over. So I don't know what got into me, but I said, well, I don't know. We'll let you know after the show. So, of course, my friends were mad that I didn't even just say, oh, of course. Well, but a little, you just try to not be too
Yeah,
available,
not
I
too
guess.
eager.
hmm So I knew we were going to go. But so after the show, Red comes back. We just stand up. He didn't have to ask us again. We just stand up and follow him right up to a private elevator and go up to the penthouse and Elvis suite. And I'm nervous because, like I've heard about parties and stuff, and I'm, I'm just kind of I'm a mom.
Yeah.
So, but as soon as we got there, there was food, and Elvis was over by they used to have these long consoles that had a TV and a record player and
Oh, yeah.
all that.
Yep. Yep.
A lot of people.
I remember those. Yep.
This one was beautiful, and the whole penthouse was gorgeous. You could see all of Las Vegas. But anyway, so he calls us over. He said, "Come over here. I want you guys to hear some music." And so he said to me, "Bring your girlfriends too." Okay, so we walk over there, and he literally puts the needle down on the vinyl record, and it's J.D. Sumner and the Stamps Quartet
Hmm.
singing. And he said, "Listen to this man's voice. He's got the deepest voice. I'm going to hire this guy." And sure enough, he did.
Oh, so JD wasn't with him at that time.
No, he
Oh,
wasn't.
okay.
Yeah, he was not. And then I remember when they went to Hawaii, they introduced him, and J.D. Sumner and the Stamps Quartet. I go, we were there when
We
he
were
was going
there.
to get
Oh,
his job.
yeah. He's has such a low voice, man. Oh,
Yeah,
I think
really
he had the
nice.
like Guinness record on the lowest note he could hit.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, I just felt like that was a moment that I did not expect from Elvis. I didn't know what I expected, but it was just he was such, again, like Frank Sinatra, a normal person in that instance.
Yeah.
And he didn't do anything outrageous. Like he just offered us more food and have a drink and enjoy yourself. And I just wanted you to hear that. And So my one friend and I were going to leave, and we felt like, we could see people, men and women, like kind of what they
Pairing
do,
off. Yeah.
pairing off.
Yeah. That's a polite way of saying it.
And
Pairing off. Yeah.
that wasn't what I was planning to do. I mean, not that I'm just above, it's just that I have children that I've got to get home to, babysitters and all that.
Yeah. You have a life outside outside
Yeah.
the business, as
And
we call it. So,
that's right. I work here, and
yep.
I can't have a bad, like she plays around, or I mean, I just
Exactly.
don't want this for my life. It doesn't work. So, Jewel and I, we were ready to leave, but we couldn't find Debbie. And I don't know what happened, and she never would tell us. Elvis was a married man, but we never could find her. And then she came out of the bathroom and she said, I found a ride home. And so you guys go on, and I have my ride home. Well, I don't know if she was with Elvis or not, but we like to think so. Um, she did come home the next morning, so whatever. It was surprising, but that was, I don't know that she was actually with Elvis, but I know he was very much the gentleman with us.
Yeah.
And that's what counted. And I got to hear that J.D. Sumner was going to have work, really good work, for quite a while.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. That's a great story. And yeah, that's now everyone can hear that story and know what hear what Elvis is like, and and that's the whole thing. People get to learn a little bit more about these stars from people like us when we go, oh, they're just like this or that, whatever.
Yeah.
You guys all look at him as they're some kind of mythical god or something like that, and it's like, no, they're just people that get paid really well to sing or you know magic, like I said, magic or tell
Mm-hmm.
jokes or whatever it is. So, anyways, um, we're also going to move on a little bit to your Mirage time because that's you were quite the busy gal during the Mirage when they were building the Mirage and putting it together. So, why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, the first time I was working in a summer stock theater in Connecticut, and I got a phone call from someone called Kenny Wynn. He was Steve Wynn's brother. I mean, they were calling the theater, not me, and um, I just happened to answer the phone. I was in the office at the time, and he said, "This is Kenny Wynn. I'm out in Las Vegas, and we're developing a new hotel casino, uh, and it's going to be like." He named a astronomical amount of money, like more than any other casino I had ever heard of. It didn't have a name. In fact, later on, I do have copies of the model where it says Golden Nugget. They considered naming it Golden Nugget. They considered not having any name on it, just kind of new age,
Yeah.
sort of nothing. But eventually they came to the name of Mirage. Anyway, so I get this call, and my boss at this summer stock theater, Rick Belzer, had worked for this Tony Award winning lighting designer in London who did all the lighting for the Andrew Lloyd Webber shows, like um, oh,
We had Phantom. Yeah.
Phantom of the
Yeah.
Opera and
Cats.
Hair. Cats was
Starlight Express. On
exactly
and on.
on and on. He just you name it. It was, if it was from London, it was his lighting, and he won Tony Awards for his lighting. So Kenny was looking to connect with this guy, and he said, "We understand that somebody there worked for him." Well, I said, "Yes, but he's not here right now, but I'll make sure that they get the message in London, and we'll get back with you." So I tell my boss, Rick, they want David Hersey to go out there and do this Las Vegas project. Oh, he goes, are you kidding? He's Andrew Lloyd Webber's fine guy. He would never even stoop to think of working in Las Vegas. Are you kidding? I'm not even going to pass the message on to him. I said, well, that's for him to decide. That's not us. Like, we're just here in Connecticut, like, I am not going to not give this message. I'll call London. I got the Rolodex. His number's right there. Oh, that ages me, doesn't the Rolodex?
Rolodex, yeah.
Well, anyway, I get the number and I call London and get the secretary. And oh no, I didn't call it then. I passed the message on. I got to get this correctly. I passed the message on to who answers the phone at the London office. And she assures me that this would be taken seriously and he will respond. Well, then I thought, oh, if he's going to respond, I should try to get this gig because I'm from Las Vegas and I know a lot of lighting people, and he's a lighting designer and never done anything in Las Vegas. This is a perfect spot for me to be.
Mm.
But then I thought, how am I going to do that? Like, it's 8 hours difference. So I have to stay up and, make the right timing. And I want to get him, not his secretary. So I'm going to try to get it during tea time because he probably never goes to tea. They bring it to him and in London, and his secretary goes out for like what would be our lunch break
Mm-hmm.
is their tea break. And so I thought, but if I describe that, he'll see that it's a Connecticut phone number from the number. I got to fly back to Las Vegas to make this call, or it's just too convoluted to explain. I'm Donna Silva. I live in Connecticut right now, but
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
from
yeah.
Las Vegas. It's just too. So I said, I'm flying back to Vegas just to make this phone call. Well, I figured that's an investment in my future. And so I get the ticket and I go back and I stay up until it's uh, that tea time in London. And I call him, and sure enough, he did answer the phone. And he said, how did you get me? And I said, well, I tell him the story. And I said, I was the one that took the call from Kenny Wynn. And I am so interested in this job that you're going to do or are considering. And I know all the lighting people. I have a stagehand background, and I explained it to him. And he said, well, I'm going to be there next week. And I said, okay, well, I'll be wearing black and I have purple hair. And he said, you're wearing purple and you're a black woman? And I said, no, I'll just be wearing black, but I have purple hair. You'll notice me right away. And so he said, okay, well, I will meet with you. And he did. Oh, he asked me what kind of computer I used. Well, I had just heard that he used a Mac SE. And I said, I'm getting one tonight. And so I had never even booted up a computer. I didn't know nothing about computers. Thank the Lord they are so user friendly because I sat right here for the next 2 days or so just cramming my brain with how you would use this. And when he asked me, he said, oh, that's the computer I use. Well, I'd like to rent that from you whenever I'm in Las Vegas. So I thought, well, here I am. I think I'm in now,
Yeah.
even if it's just the computer. But sure enough, he had many chores for me to do. And first of all, he wanted me, it was just where the Mirage ended up was just nothing but desert. It had just been graded off, but there was nothing there. And David wanted me to find any sort of water and fire example in Las Vegas. Well, the pepper mill had a little 7-inch fire in their fireplace with water around it. And I was embarrassed to show it to David when he got there, but I said, "This is the biggest water and fire I could find in
Yeah.
Las Vegas." Well, he says, "You know what we're going to do? They've already planned a water feature, and we're going to turn it into a volcano." And I thought, how are we going to do that? Well, nobody else knows how either.
No.
And then we met with Steve Wynn that very day, and Steve said, "I will give you all the money that you need to do a mock up that's life size." Like it was actually 15 feet tall and 30 feet wide, which the eventual one was 40 feet tall and hundreds of feet wide. But we first did every element. Steve Wynn said, "Whatever you think of, do it. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't." But like one time we thought about this row of car headlights, and they would be on a tracking queuing system. It looked terrible. Or we put fiber optics in the mock-up this small volcano that we were building, and the fiber optics didn't look anything like reality, so that was out. That cost a lot of money just to try these. I have pictures of myself directing the workers to where to put these fiber optics, and then a same thing, a picture of the test, and it just looked so phony. We said, no way, we're not using that. But eventually, trying everything, that Mr. Wynn was such a genius that he had us doing that, because people did not believe that when I would call and say, "Will you bring water that shoots up in the air like as big as you possibly can?" And they might come up with it 4 feet tall. And I'd say, like, I mean big, like 40 feet tall.
Yeah.
And that this happened, I'd say, "Bring your mist. We're burning the trees. We want to mist them first so they don't burn anymore." Uh, as much like what is in front of a restaurant where they sit outside, as much as you can bring for this trial. Mr. Wynn will see it. They bring a little, like for one table, and I think they don't think big enough for us. They just don't. So we get another company and say, "We've already had someone here that just can't think that big." Well, eventually, all these trials, one thing after another, took 4 years, but we got it. And I'll never forget this one night. We actually had the water, we down in the middle of it. They had to turn it on with a wheel, and it would shoot up. And with the flame, the same thing. Somebody would start the flame, but it was enough and massive enough that the cars on Las Vegas Boulevard were slamming on their brakes. And Steve Wynn had told us, if the Today Show comes to Las Vegas, this is in the very beginning, whatever you guys do, that's what, when they say we're going to Las Vegas, boom, we want this to be so magnificent that they will always show a picture of what you guys do. And sure enough, that night we shot it off for the first time, and my boss wasn't there. David was in Japan doing Miss Saigon, and I hear the brakes on cars just screeching to a stop as soon as we hit that fire. And I'm telling you, I'm getting chills right now thinking it was such a visceral feeling to me. This is what Steve wants. This is exactly what he wants. The cars to slam to their brakes,
Yep.
you know. And sure enough, it was quite successful for many years. Unfortunately, just like everything in Las Vegas, they tear it down and put
Yep.
something else
Now they're
there.
putting a guitar out there. Yeah. Nothing stays forever in this town, that's for sure. It doesn't last. 50,
No.
50 years. Okay, it's old. Get rid of it. Next.
Yeah.
You know.
But it led me into another good job, so I could tell you that some other time.
Okay. And well, why don't we'll stop right here, and then we'll just do a short last show. We'll do one more, and we'll go from there, and see how that goes. Once again, I've got to. Oops. All right. So, anyways, we'll be right back in just a minute. You're listening to It's Showtime, the Craig L. Hayes Show.